Well, hello, friends and Brad fans. Welcome back to the show. You're in for a treat because those two cool dudes from Vancouver, Jared and Robby, are back on the show, and we are chatting cyborgs just for the hell of it. So we start, with the usual prosthetic limbs, that kind of thing. That's what you think of when you think cyborg. But we went a little further than that. We talked about things like prosthetic skin, enhanced skin. I presented to them some work that I saw at the American Society for Chemistry conference about researchers hacking into the electrical and biological communication networks of cells and what you can do with that technology. So that was pretty cool. As always, when these two guys are on the show, it gets silly. We had a good time. I, of course, would never get silly and go lowbrow. That's sort of more of a Jared thing, but we all had a good laugh. So I hope you enjoy it. As always, follow us on Twitter, Instagram at TwoBradForYou. You can hit me up at bvanpaired on either of those platforms. Get in touch with the show. Let us know what you think. Leave us a review. Subscribe. All of that good stuff that you're so tired of hearing me say. But please do it. It helps us a lot. According to one resource I use, we're number 209 in terms of comedy podcasts in Ireland on the Apple iTunes ranking. So we made a chart. Number 209, 209. And climbing in Ireland. Thank you, Ireland, for subscribing, commenting, reaching out to the show, although no one from Ireland has yet reached out. But that was nice to see. So yes, please do hit up the website, twobradforyou.wordpress.com. That may be changing soon, but I will keep you updated. I have all the links to the stuff that we talk about, the articles that we use to inform us about the show. And yeah, I think that's it. So again, many thanks to Robby and Jared. It's always a blast to talk to those two dudes. We had a good time chatting cyborgs. Here you go. All right, folks. This is the podcast you've been waiting for because we got those two cool dudes from the West Coast staring back at me. Robby and Jared over there in Vancouver. You guys are back on. What's happening?
Hey Brad, how's it going? Long time no talk.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Jared, you want to
Yeah, long time
reintroduce
no
your
talk
voice
as
to
well. Yeah, actually, we had a pretty long
the
conversation. I think last Sunday, when I slept in past the podcast.
Right. We had to reschedule this one because Jared had a little bit of a sleep in, but we're all here
Yeah,
today. And we had decided that we were like, okay, let's get a podcast going. What are we gonna talk about? And we landed on cyborgs. Why? I don't know. I guess because they're cool. And I think Robby, when I put this out in the WhatsApp group, your first question was, "You mean like RoboCop?"
yeah, absolutely.
And
Brad said just like RoboCop. Wow, as a
Exactly
matter
like
of fact.
RoboCop. So then I was thinking, I was like, okay, well, how do we like get into this topic or whatever? I was like, oh, well, let's look at like cyborg. We could, cyborg movies. Like maybe there's like a good cyborg movie, but beyond RoboCop, there's really
Terminator.
nothing.
I guess
Is that
Terminator's not
really a
really a
cyborg?
cyborg. Well, he's living tissue over a cybernetic
Yeah, frame.
exoskeleton frame, I believe is how he words it.
Yeah.
You
Not
know,
really a cyborg.
I mean, the Borg, obviously, the OG cyborgs, the big cube, baby.
From
Star
the
Trek.
cube, the Borg cube,
Yeah.
Star
Do you
Trek.
remember that
And
that their ship was just a big cube?
yeah. Oh, dude, I usually avoid the Star Trek references because then you become like super nerdy. You automatically get,
Right.
put in that box. And fair enough. But yeah, the Borg, that's some intense cyborg action. Because not only are they like, machines with humans, they're then connected to the hive intelligence.
Makes sense, right?
If you're going to
Like,
Borg up,
I
make a
mean, I don't
hive
wanna
intelligence.
yeah, I don't wanna, like, jump ahead too much, but, like, Neuralink, right? If we're all on Neuralink, right, we're just
Yeah.
that's the first step to the hive mind.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Totally. But yeah, let's pull it back. Let's pull it back
Start with
from
RoboCop.
Start with yeah, start with RoboCop. Oh, there was also the uh, Jean-Claude Van Damme movie titled Cyborg,
I
which
don't.
we probably yeah, I didn't see it. I'm assuming you guys didn't see it.
I did not see that picture.
I'm, I think it's from the early 90s. I quickly looked up the synopsis of it and I was just like, what does this even have to do with cyborgs? Like, I don't know. Like, it sounded very convoluted and very early 90s trash,
Sounds like a
which I'm
ripoff of
also a
RoboCop.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
RoboCop fucking rules, though.
RoboCop is a good movie. RoboCop is a
To
really
all the
good movie.
listeners, go back, watch that. It's
Rewatch that.
Paul
Don't did you
Paul
see the
Paul Verhoeven, joint.
yeah,
It's a big, just take on fascist cyborgs.
fascist cyborgs? There's a lot of
What's not to like?
Jesus imagery in there with RoboCop sort of
That's right.
appearing to walk on water at one point after he gets resurrected. So, it's deep. It works on many levels.
Ooh. So I just looked up Cyborg 1989, 24% rating. It looks pretty sick
killer
though. He's
cover
got
though,
his
yeah.
shirt off. Yeah, he's got his shirt off. He's got a shotgun.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Classic Van Damme.
Cyborg, also known as Slinger.
Anyway, let's not go down
My
that
first
road.
time will be Slinger.
Let's not go down that road. But when I say pull it back, I say let's start like, what's the first thing that everyone thinks of as cyborg? It's like obviously it's the meshing of robotics with humans, but you always think of limbs, right? Like prosthetic limbs. And I'm surprised if we went down the list of like who your favorite cyborg is. RoboCop's number one. I mean, I assumed one of you guys was going to pick Oscar Pistorius, right? The Blade Runner.
Right. I only
I mean,
I
because
don't
he was an Olympian, not because he shot his
I
girlfriend.
like everything he did after the race.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big fan.
Right. But yeah, no, I mean limbs is
Okay.
is exactly what you think of. What's that, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, no, nothing. Yeah, I guess like he was like the first guy to kind of like get the limbs that was you're like, oh, these are better than feet
Yeah,
for that
exactly.
intended purpose.
Yeah, for running.
Like having
So
but they're essentially they were springs though, right? Those aren't really those are just
is it a robot?
there was no like
is it
mechanical
robotics?
motors or anything in it. No, that's
Yeah.
just he's on a couple of fucking leaf springs. He's more truck than man.
Yeah, I don't know if I would classify that as cyborg, to be honest with you. If you just have the springs without any electrical, mechanical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he can run faster than most people because of those sweet springs.
Yeah. Well, and maybe he can jump higher too. We don't know.
Makes sense.
But that's what I'm thinking though. Like, does it count? And you have prosthetics and stuff, plastic ones, things like this. You even have some basic ones that move with like a pulley kind of system. I'm thinking of an arm that you put on, and it's actually like it's got your basic hook mechanism, a clamping kind of device.
Yeah.
And it's controlled just by pulling the other arm, and there's a strap that goes to the other arm, and when you pull it, it just pulls on a rope inside the prosthetic that just clamps it. Can we count that? I don't know if we can count that.
I'm gonna come out. I think we have
to. Yeah.
To be a cyborg, you gotta have a processor in you. You need a chip. You need to be chipped.
You gotta have a chip.
That's what I'm saying is my qualifier to be a proper cyborg is we need chip. There's got to be some sort of like mental link between you and your bot and your robot part, right? If it's just a robot part, well, I don't know, man. Listen, I just came up with this qualification 20 seconds ago, and I'm not even sticking by it that hard, I guess.
Well, here's
but I would
something
say that's a
interesting.
pretty good place to start, right?
It's a pretty good place to start, but so then let's think about this, because then this is where some of the interesting tech comes in, is the interface between machine and human, right? Like that sort of, this is an audio podcast and people can't see that I have a pen in my finger and I'm mashing them together for these two guys to explain. Machine meets body. It meets body.
The classic visual representation of synergy. Meshing your fingers together.
Yeah, exactly. Together. And you think of that like, that you got to go into the nervous system and stuff like that, right? So you need like some kind of wire interacting with the nerves to like send sensory signals back and forth. But one of the things I found was that some of the early work on this, and it's still done, it's still in prosthetics now, is it's called osseo perception, something like this, and it's basically feeling through your bone. So you
I
can
hear
like
that, dog.
attach Heyo. So you could attach like the prosthetic or something to the bone, and then it's actually one of the ways that they test if it's fused is just like
Right.
tapping on the prosthetic, and then you can actually feel that through your bone.
Bone.
And the yeah, through the bone, man. And
My
the
main
the
feeler.
patient it's my main feeler. The patients will say that it like they can actually tell like what surface they're walking on,
Mhm.
for example, if it's a
Cool.
leg or something like that, like grass versus dirt or something like that. So
Yeah.
it does give you that like initial bit of
Sensory input or whatever.
sensory
Info.
input. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which I thought was kind of interesting, but it also just sounds awful. Like feeling through your bone, like that feels like it would hurt.
Yeah,
It's
that
just torture. Just
Well,
poking
I
you with
mean, obviously,
needles. You feel
obviously it doesn't.
was like to a limit. Like, yeah, like if I have, if you have a robot arm, how much do you need to feel? Like, if you can need to feel some stuff, but like,
Mhm.
you know, as you like limit your pain receptor or whatever.
Right. Well, like, touch. So you need to have some kind of sense of touch so you can pressure, so you know how hard
Yeah,
you're gripping something. Otherwise, you're just gonna every time you go to pick up a mug, you're just gonna crush it with your robot hand.
I'm a
It's gonna be,
monster.
yeah. Ah, damn it! You go to shake
Let
someone's
me hold
hand and
your
you rip their
baby.
arm off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me hold that baby. No, we're good. We're good. You keep that robot hand out of here.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so I mean that was kind of interesting, and then yeah, obviously connecting to the nerves and stuff. And Jared, you said you found like some pretty wacky videos on guys getting to walk again because they had the
Yeah.
robot legs.
Yeah, it was a guy who works. I think he's from MIT, and like he had both of his legs amputated for some reason. Who knows? But anyways, he had like some pretty
I'm
sick
assuming
legs.
he had a good
Yeah,
reason to have his
yeah,
legs
yeah,
taken
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah, from every commercial I've seen, it's probably a tractor related
Yeah,
incident.
I think he
But
got
Yeah,
pulled into a thresher,
yeah, yeah,
both of his legs
exactly.
torn off. But yeah, he had like he had the just awesome prosthethii,
Prosthetics,
Prometheus.
bone
Anyways,
feelers.
yeah, bone feelers. Like they were very cool. You could see him like walk around. Like they looked like he really like they moved like real legs. Like it was like all
Hmm.
his movement was like very like fluid. But he said like his brain can't really control them because I guess the way when you amputate a limb, you just cut the muscle off essentially and like kind of cauterize it or something. I'm sure I'm butchering this. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Um, but like the way they've been amputating limbs is the same since like the Civil War, right? So
Hmm.
with this, they go in like if you are going to get a limb amputated, they would
They
like
put a piece of wood in
reconnect.
your mouth.
That's
They
right.
get you to bite down on
They get you wooden
it.
teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess like they reconnect the muscles together, so there's still like the link that your brain is like sending. Still goes through. It's a complete circuit because he's talking about like
Huh.
phantom limb syndrome, right? Your brain is like
Right.
sending a muscle or sorry, an impulse down to the muscle, and it's just like cut off, right? So you think you're
Right.
moving your foot, but you're like it's this like weird phantom thing. But if it's like put into a loop, I guess your brain's still getting the feedback. So when they attach um, whatever like the sensors that are like embedded into the muscle when you think
Hmm.
about moving your foot, it'll actually move it, right?
Right.
Instead of it just guessing what the muscle's doing and what you want to do, it's legitimately like moving it from your thoughts.
And this is based on
More
the
like a
fact
foot would do.
because they've like so you got your fresh stump, and
Yeah,
rather than just like letting those sort of ends heal and be
yeah,
closed,
yeah,
you actually take the muscles that are, and just like stitch
I
them
think
all
so.
together.
That's what I got. I might be fucking this up, but that's what I got from what
No,
he
I
would
mean
say.
it somehow makes sense, right? Like on a like just when you think about it, like obviously the three of us aren't surgeons, clearly.
Speak for yourself. I've cut people.
I've cut people. I've cut people.
I've cut many
We don't
people.
need to go into it, but
Yeah,
I've cut people.
I know what I'm doing.
Um, but yeah, no, it kind of makes sense that you would like, and then it would, yeah, the nerves wouldn't just end, right? Like they would have
Yeah,
like this, like you say, like this kind of loop. But
it
then,
comes
so
back
then,
through, I guess, because I think like your brain. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing. Your brain's probably got to know that your foot moves, and then it does it. So like the signal comes back up. You're like, oh yeah, we've moved it. But if it's just
mhm,
cut off, your brain has no feedback to know whether it moved the muscle or not.
right,
That so no, that I would say because they're putting processors or chips like into your muscle fiber and your
right.
brain. Man and machine has now become one, and I think that's a cyborg.
That's definitely a cyborg. That's definitely a
Yeah,
cyborg. So
like that's what
yeah,
I would say
and
is your
that's classic definition, right? But
classic man
the
and machine meshing. I'm all listeners at home. I'm putting my fingers together.
for the
The
meshing,
classic the
the
meshing.
coming together
Yeah,
um, of man and machine symbiosis. What other buzzwords do you got? I don't know. Um, but so then these things they got to like, yeah, you have like those sort of implants or wires. Because I found one. It was I think it was a Swiss company, and they were like talking about this like super reactive leg that they have that can yeah be controlled by the mind and be more you know nuanced in its movements and fine in its movements and stuff like this.
yeah.
And they actually have, yeah, like these, I'm assuming it's like electrodes, like electrical endings that are like jamming into the skin, into the body, and like
Hmm.
attached to the nerves in some way. Because a lot of these things too, they would do, I think the original ones is they would do it just skin, right? Like so skin, and then you have some kind of electrodes or motors or some kind of receptor in the implant, but it
Right.
was removable, right? So you're
Mm.
relying on getting some kind of like muscle movement that then
Yeah.
touches a button that helps it move, or you have some way of like getting the electrical
Interesting.
currents from a muscle, spasm or twitch or
Hmm.
whatever over the skin. But this is like actually like surgically putting it on there and then attaching it'd be like,
Yeah.
I got this image in my head of you're like taking the nerves and like, when you have to like connect speaker wire and you just like wrap
Yeah. Yeah.
those all
Yeah.
those little endings together and like twist it together.
You twist it and put a little fucking like grommet thing on the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You put the
That's
little
all you're doing. You're just
alligator
like,
clip on it.
yeah, right. Perfect.
But I think that's essentially kind of
Ooh,
what
that's
it
fucking
is,
nasty though. I don't like the thought of
right?
that.
I think I saw a program once where they were trying to do a similar thing with blind people to like help them
Mm,
see for the first time, and
mm,
they were like kind of cutting those sensors in their eyes and attaching it to a video camera. So they
ugh,
would like move the video camera around, and these guys were like,
Whoa.
they couldn't describe what they were seeing, but they were seeing like light waves of some sort because they were kind of freaking
yeah.
out. Like they're like, whatever you're doing is kind of working. Like I can't see things, but
Hmm.
I see things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably like light perception. Like you
Yeah.
like when your eyes are closed, but you can still kind of tell if it's bright out or
Yeah.
something
Right.
like
Right.
that. And could you imagine just like what a mind fuck that would be if you were, well, like let's say you were blind from birth
Yeah.
and like never had anything. Like it's one thing to like have had sight and then lose it, and then to get some sight back, you'd be like, "Meh, it's good, but it's not as good as I used to have."
Yeah.
But if you had nothing and then like all of a
It's
sudden
fucking wild. You had no baseline.
I feel like you'd get nauseous,
Yeah.
like you'd
Probably.
like the
Yeah.
first time like this kind of
Be a lot
thing,
of
you'd be like,
input.
"Oh, yeah, exactly." Right? I mean, hearing not so much. Like hearing, I think you'd just be like, "Oh, this is dope. I can hear shit." But something about the visual,
Hmm.
or your balance, like would your balance be all messed up? Like I don't know. But this is the thing is that the brain is actually like super adaptable. And this is
Yeah.
another cool cyborg kind of related story. There's this Brazilian guy. I've talked about this on this podcast before, like ages ago, but there's this Brazilian guy, Miguel Nicolelis, I think is his name. And he does all this crazy brain implant research with animals. Well, as you do. Um,
Yeah. Right.
in order to like, yeah, like for this type of stuff, like prosthetics or whatever. But his whole thing, I saw him give a talk once, and his whole thing is just like, look at the brain is like super adaptable in that we can put like an implant in there, and then that implant is controlling some sort of external device, right? And the brain learns to use that device really quickly. Like you just sort of the animals, the monkeys or whatever, the
Yeah.
rats, whatever they're using, just sort of incorporates that and takes very little training for them to
Mm.
become very proficient at using this new, essentially what is like a new limb, right?
Right.
So they did it with like a mouse cursor first. So the monkeys were just like via the implant in their head,
Oh,
they
I
could
saw.
move.
I watched some of that. Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Yeah, they could move a mouse cursor, right? And it's the game was like move the mouse cursor into the target, and the target would appear at different points on the
Yeah.
screen. And so the monkey could just like with its mind, like move the cursor over and then get like its like little juice reward that comes through a straw or something. So
I
it's like
mean, that's
looks really
impressive.
fucking
But
freaky. Yeah.
can he navigate a shady porn site while clicking down all the banner ads?
Ooh, super
You know,
quickly, like just nailing
yes,
pop-ups.
super
Just
quickly. Yeah, yeah, and not accidentally clicking on one of the ads and launching the whole sequence over again.
yeah, that's whoa.
That's the
Now
ultimate
you're
test of
talking about
intelligence.
now you're talking about practical uses for this technology, right? Like
That's
we're
right.
talking
Oh,
people are gonna be like
the
high-minded
porn strip
things like
monkey.
yeah. Pretty sure that's already a subreddit.
Yeah. My thought is, so like, if you have, you got your limbs or whatever, and they're making them like you hook up your brain, and at some point, limbs are like a robot limb's going to be better than
Mm,
a regular limb. You know.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
First off, I don't know. Are you allowed to have prosthetic limbs in, let's say, the NHL?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I
assume
don't think there's. Is there anybody in the NHL with a
No.
prosthesis?
no.
No.
With a
No.
Prometheus?
But even if you take golf, like if you get some, I don't know, some prosthetic limbs in there, you're probably
Oh,
hitting the ball like 400
your
yards.
club is just your hand.
Yeah, you're a
Yeah, club
machine.
hand.
Club hand. We all love club hand. Came out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
well, and also think about with golf especially, how like more stable you would be, like say for putting or something like that, right? Like where it's like
Oh
if you're
yeah,
nervous and you're kind of shaking a bit, like, but if it's like a metal prosthetic, you could
just
maybe
don't even think
eliminate
about
that.
it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, well, didn't they outlaw the belly putter, the waist putter,
Yeah,
I
right?
yeah,
stepped
yeah.
away for a second. The belly, the what?
The
They outlawed.
they
Yeah, they
outlawed the
got rid of
belly putter,
the.
Jared.
Guy leaves for 2 seconds.
There was like this extremely long putter where guys would either balance on their belly or their chest.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
I
Yeah,
remember seeing that.
so they'd kind of
yeah.
hold it right up to their chest to kind of keep
That looks
the.
cool.
Yeah, but they outlawed it
You
because
thought
it's like
that looked cool? You're probably like the
No,
only guy
yeah,
in the world that thought that
bitch,
looked cool.
that's being sarcastic. You son of a bitch. That looks so stupid.
Yeah.
Golf known for its cool look.
Yeah. But I was just saying that, like, if you had some kind of a prosthetic putter, you could potentially be
Oh,
more
that like,
stable.
well, let's say like if you had like, so I just saw a thing, like they're putting like chips in your cornea, right, to fix blindness.
Right.
But let's say you've got some eyeball chips, right, that can like measure and like read a green, like see the slope, like the angle, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That feeds it through to your putter hand, and your putter hand just calibrates everything, gives you like the perfect little fucking tippy tap.
Yeah. So then what the fuck are we doing? Like who
We're
wants to
playing
watch that? Just
future golf.
perfect putts all the time.
Yeah, you might as well just be shooting a golf ball out of your hand
Yeah.
cannon.
Yeah, you guys want to come over and watch me play Tiger Woods on video games?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
turn that putt anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Throw a little Tiger vision in there.
so I guess that's the thing is like, like also like at what point, especially if limbs are better than, like, people will just be, you got the cash, you just chop off your legs and get new legs.
You could just upgrade. Yeah.
Dude, you get like, listen to someone who's under 5'10".
I mean, there's already
Would
people that
might
get
be at
those
6'3", a few extra,
couple extra
I get
inches.
a little bit of legs, I get a few extra inches. I got a tall body, but I got short legs.
It's true. You're very oddly proportioned.
I have a very tall torso. When I sit next to our buddy Rebel, who's like 6'3", 6'4", we're
The
the same
exact
height.
opposite.
We're the exact height on like a
But your
bench with a
feet are
restaurant.
dangling
Yeah,
a
I
couple
can't.
inches
Like
from
my
the
feet,
in
like that, they don't touch the floor. They just
yeah.
furiously.
He's like a toddler in a high chair, just his little
That's
feet.
right. So if I could get some bigger legs, I think that'd be sick.
Well, I mean, there's already those people that get height extension surgery. Have you
Ugh,
heard
yeah,
about
but
that?
they have to cut your shin bone open and graft in. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
do
you
know how
call
much that
those
hurt?
guys cyborgs?
No, those are just people
Well,
with
see,
dead
yeah.
people's shin bones in them. Cadaver bones. Yeah, no thanks. You're not throwing a cadaver bone in me.
They just have like it's basically just like a car jack, and they just like slowly just stretch the pieces apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, based on our earlier definition, those people are not cyborgs. They just have like chunks of metal in them. Because it would be the same, like, someone who had their, they jacked up their elbow or something and you had to put screws in it. It's like, would you call that a cyborg? No, not at all. What about pacemakers?
Yeah.
Pacemakers. That's a cyborg.
Ooh, that kind of fits our definition perfectly.
It is linked to you.
And it's electrical.
Mm-hmm.
It is keeping you. It's very important. But it's like, what keeps it?
It's just keeping you alive.
It is keeping you alive.
Well, that was never a requirement because to have sweet robot legs,
true.
that's not going to keep you alive. Maybe
I'm
socially.
still kind of sitting. It doesn't have a chip in it. I mean, maybe
Pacemaker,
the new ones.
yeah, it does.
I think it has a chip, yeah.
But it's not connected to you.
Yeah, it's in your heart.
Yeah, but like pacemakers have been around forever, right?
Yeah, that's my point.
Like,
is that cyborgs have been around?
I have no idea how
longer than you would
works,
think.
now that I'm thinking about it, like my head, like, oh, it just keeps the same pace. It's like,
but
it's got to speed up and slow down. You go.
Yeah, it's a small device that they surgically implant next to your heart that regulates the electrical currents that your heart muscles are using so that you remain beating in synchronation, basically. Otherwise, if those circuits start misfiring, all the different chambers of your heart are firing at the wrong time, and if that happens, then you don't get efficient blood pumpage, and you die. So that's what a pacemaker is. So yeah, I'd say pacemaker people are cyborgs. Also, those people that have hearing aid implants.
The cochlear implants or whatever.
Yeah, that's one. But even hearing aids could be.
Yeah, but they're external.
Yeah,
like
still robotic.
When I'm wearing headphones, that's the same as like wearing headphones.
If you got the AirPods in, you're not a cyborg.
Yeah, I'm not a cyborg, Brad.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just wear wireless headphones. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got this is from Wikipedia. It applies to cyborg. It applies to an organism that has restored function or enhanced abilities due to the integration of some artificial component or technology that relies on some sort of feedback.
That's a good definition.
While cyborgs are not commonly thought of as mammals, including humans, they might also conceivably be of any kind of organism. Oh, yeah. I guess any
cyborg reptiles.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. When's a politician going to start talking about that?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Cyborg
your
fish.
Healthcare, man. When are we going to get a crocodile with like big old, tail made of metal or something? That sounds fucking sick.
It does sound sick.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, but you could also think about bacteria. If you had small enough electronics.
Listeners at home, I'm narrowing my eyes in a vague attempt to understand where he's going with this.
he's looking at me like, think about. I want to comply with your request. So I'm thinking about bacteria.
I'll play with you in this space, Brad. I'll play with you in this space. Go on. Everything's always about bacteria. Fuck.
Yeah. We can't go one podcast without you talking about fucking microbes.
Yeah.
God.
Right.
Well, no, but if you had small enough electronics, you could, like nano electronics, you could manipulate bacteria. Although maybe we don't need to do that because we can kind of genetically manipulate them. But okay, hear me out on this one. This is a story that I found really interesting, and it's they were trying to find a way to hack into or start to communicate electronically with biological communication networks. So
Mm-hmm.
your body is, it's got all these different cells, all these things going on. Bacteria, same thing. They're different cells there, but they can communicate with each other using a variety of different mechanisms. One of them is electrical. So you have molecules in your body that can pass electrons, either accept electrons or give electrons, and that's essentially what electricity is. It's the movement of electrons in a wire. So you
Right.
have molecules in the body that can do that sort of electronical type communication. Same thing with, you have little channels that go into your cells, right? That little openings into your cells so that different things can get in and out. And a lot of those are controlled by a current. So you have a buildup of positively charged molecules, ions on one
Mm-hmm.
side of the cell membrane, and on the inside of the cell membrane, there's negatively charged ions, and you can create these electronic gradients, which then
Okay.
opens different channels of the cell and things move in and out. So your body's using electrical communication all the time, but it also uses structural communication, we can call it. So you have different molecules that, fit into each other, like key into a lock, and then that changes the formation of, this protein, which then creates this process, that cascades down the line, and you end up getting a gene, getting translated or something like this. So you have these two different types of communication, this sort of electrical communication, structural communication, hormones, blah blah blah, all this shit, right? So what these guys wanted to do was, they were like, if we could find a way to use the electrical communication of the body in combination with these other communication networks, we could send electrical signals into the cells of the body and control everything, and vice
Oh.
versa. So you could take a look at, you could use cells that are like doing different things, and potentially, like, for example, sensing an increase in a certain enzyme or a toxin or something like this.
Mhm.
And they do that, using one of these other communication forms. But you have a little, genetically engineered cell that you've put into the body
Right.
that is able to translate that, let's
Cyborg
call it
cells,
structural, yeah,
Borg cells.
cyborg cells, Borg cells, and it can translate the structural, molecular communication into electrical communication, and then send that signal out,
Okay.
like
Well,
wirelessly.
I mean, so one could, I think, deductively reason from what you just said. It seems very likely, if not most certain, that somebody who had, control of this technology, who probably is a vast billionaire through tech, might
Mm,
have orchestrated a massive pandemic to put the population into a state of fear,
I'm
and
listening.
then put said Borg cells into the vaccine, which just by
Mm,
chance they have also been developing, um, and then thereby turning the population into their unwilling slave drones
yeah.
to overthrow the launch of the PlayStation 5. Of course, what we know we're talking about is Bill Gates and the launch of the Xbox, the new Xbox.
Damn it,
Could
Bill's had the long play going the whole time.
yeah,
He's had the long
yeah.
con going the whole time.
But that being said, like, could Bill Gates put a Borg chip? Because like that's what people are scared of, right? They're like, Bill Gates is going to chip me. If Bill Gates
Yeah.
was going to chip you, would he do it with a Borg? It's like a Borg cell.
Well, I mean, it could be, could be. This seems like at the moment it's
Could you put that
would,
in a vaccine though? Like, how would you
yeah.
introduce these cells into people?
Uh, well, the study that I found, or the present, they presented it at the latest meeting of the American Chemistry Society, um, which I'm sure you guys are avid
Yeah,
followers
yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah,
I saw it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Good to
yeah,
meet you.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
there.
We
I
both
was
saw
there.
it.
Yeah,
We both saw it. Yeah, we're both there.
yeah,
I still have my bracelet. Still wearing
yeah.
it. I got backstage.
um, they were talking about it as a pill. So you would, for example,
Ooh.
someone with diabetes, you could they would swallow a pill, and in this pill would be these different types of engineered cells, and
Yeah.
obviously molecules and stuff could and cross the into the pill and out of the pill, and you could have this sensing thing going on, um, that would then like transmit the data to your phone. So your phone, you
Right.
would be able to track your glucose levels on your phone or something like that, and you could even then send the, based on, okay, this is the level we got from the sensor cells, send a signal back into the pill that has insulin producing cells, and it would like
Right.
produce the amount of
Oh,
insulin you
cool.
needed. So I mean, this is like, wearable health sensing devices, and like an artificial pancreas is essentially what this is a big, like, I
Right.
think more so than limbs and shit, this is probably where we're going to see the most cyborg action, is in shit like this. So with this
Could
mm,
sure, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say
I'll,
that
I'll hold
the
my
other
Q&A.
the other example of this, using these Borg cells, as we're now calling them, was they engineered these two types of cells that would produce these two different molecules. So basically, molecule A um, would be in response to a toxin that a bacteria produces. So you get this bacteria, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. I don't know what that is, but apparently
You
it.
said it wrong, but that's fine.
Yep, bless you.
Pronounced it right, but whatever.
Uh, it produces a
Okay,
toxin.
doctor.
Yeah. It
I don't even
produces a
think he was at the
toxin.
Camp Society meeting.
You're an idiot. I think he's making this up. Um, and when it senses that toxin, it would produce molecule A, and then molecule B also gets produced by a second set of cells, which converts
Mhm.
that first molecule into an electron receptor molecule. So this is how
Right,
you
right.
would get that chemical sensing thing turned into now a molecule that can pass electrons and connect that to the electrodes. So as you get more toxin in the body, so as the bacteria is like running wild and producing toxin in your body, you get an accumulation of these different molecules, and they get converted in a chain to a
Hmm.
electrical type molecule, which then sends the current into the electrode. So the intensity, however, the amount of molecule that you have correlates to the intensity of the electrical current. So you can actually monitor, like, oh shit, the poison level is going up and up and up and up. And again, this can be wirelessly, you could get a push
Yeah.
notification on your phone being like, whoa, dude, your
Oh,
toxin levels are, shooting through the roof. And you either go to the doctor or whatever like that. Or in the future, the idea would be that you could, it would just in response, you would have another, device that just releases the drugs to fix it. So you could have all these different sensing
yeah, things.
apparatuses in the body for different
Day
things.
4 at Burning Man, your phone just be going nuts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Going,
and then
"Oh, I got too many toxins."
yeah, and I could just think of all the health, like all those health scam people that are just like, oh, you got to get rid of your toxins, trying to fucking find a way to
Yeah.
exploit this
So
technology. But those people clearly don't understand what toxins are.
so I guess get back, bring it around to, once again, the classical sense of cyborg,
Mm.
some sort of super soldier. How do we use these sensing cells to develop the Ubermensch?
Mm. Mm.
You know, can you use these cells? Like, could you like synthesize muscle with them? Could you make some sort of bulletproof skin?
Mm.
Um,
Well, no, I don't think that's what you would do with this, but you could definitely, you could detect, you could
how,
be
how,
like a
how do I
walking.
get jacked with nano things? You know,
Right, right. Yeah, well, that's another
But
thing.
did
With
you
these
use it like
sensing things,
reptile though, where if your like skin kind of gets pierced, the cells would form on that exact spot and kind of
grow new
regrow?
skins.
Yeah.
grow new skins. I mean, I think maybe in theory there would be a way that you could do that if you could, like, if it was somehow like it was sensing the sort of the cues that there's been an injury, and then in response to that releasing, healing factors or something like this, you know.
See, I also think that Neuralink, that's what they wanted to do a bit as well, is like if it's in your brain, it can like regulate your brain chemistry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is with these things, like if you can get the communication, right? The body
Mhm.
communication and then do
Gone.
something in response to it, then yeah, you could do stuff like that. So the Neuralink stuff, I think, because and this is really like what we talked about at the beginning, of like the stereo wire, like wrapping them
Right.
together. Like this
Yeah.
is what this is what Neuralink is really trying to do, is they're so putting the implantable device into the brain, but they're using these like super thin fibers that are like thinner
Mhm.
than a human hair, and those would go into the specific spots of the brain that are, injured, or
Yeah.
we'll say miswired, to like causing surgeries or something like this, and they would be able to then, integrate really finely into those nerve endings and stuff and send electrical signals into the brain. So this is like, because your brain works on mostly electrical communication, right? Whereas the stuff
Yeah.
I was talking about before is sort of throughout the whole body. There's a variety of different communication ways, but the nervous system is generally electrical. So it's like we can mesh with that. We can mesh with that pretty well. But
Okay.
there's certain limits to how you can do that. So with a really thin wire, you can then increase the amount of connections you're getting at very specific locations. So you could send, like, instead of like one just like big fucking electrode that you just jam in there, it's not very precisely placed and it only has like so much surface area to interact with the nerves. If you have
Mhm.
thousands and thousands and thousands of these
Into
tiny
your brain.
hair-like projections going into your brain, they can go into different spots, and because they're so small and there's so many of them, you increase the amount of actual surface
Mhm.
that's connected to your brain. So that's the idea behind it, and then you can send the signals directly in.
And then if you
And
had a limb or something, you could just fucking Bluetooth it,
yeah, 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 yeah,
right? Bluetooth the signal from your brain into I mean, I don't know, but
yeah, I think that's exactly it. And there's a guy, another guy. This guy sounds like a real peach, to be honest. I think his name is Kevin Warwick. He's a British dude, or at least he works at a British university, and he's like been this on the quest to be like the first cyborg. I don't know if you guys have heard of this dude. So he's a professor, in neuroscience, cybernetics, I guess. His website calls him the world's leading expert in cybernetics, which sounds
that's
like a
what I would
really, yeah,
it's on
sounds like a,
my website too.
yeah, yeah.
I like to make
But
space claims, just throw them out there.
yeah, he's actually using himself as a guinea pig. So he's implanting chips and stuff into his body, and all this kind of stuff. So he has like a chip in his arm that he uses like to like open doors and stuff like that, which that's like kind of just gimmicky
It's stupid.
basic technology.
Like,
Yeah,
I think like so people get like they'll get like a factory, like they'll get like a chip. Basically, you just get a fucking RFID chip in you,
yeah, basically. Yeah.
and like they can open my door. It's like, man,
Yeah. That's super dumb. Those are the like that's the Bill Gates chipping people, and those are the
yeah,
morons that'll get it first. Um but no, then he did this other thing. They put this electrical mesh network into his hand. So, and then I guess what they were doing is they were like seeing how it would fuck with his hand, like if he could still use his hand afterwards, which I'm assuming it worked. Um, but then also if like his hand movement would then control a robot,
ooh,
like a robot hand. So you would have this
like
like this thin mesh, electrical mesh that could read the signals of your hand, and then you just send that to the robot hand. And I mean, I could see that being used for like space exploration, or if you have to work in a nuclear reactor, rather than
yeah.
sticking your hands in
Or
those big mitts through the glass, you actually just have a robot or
yeah, you could
surgery.
jerk off with your robot hand. Maybe that feels a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, then it's the ultimate, like, ghost. You don't
That
have
is
to
the
dead
ultimate.
arm it.
That is the ultimate. Handling nuclear waste, doing long
Pleasuring
distance
oneself.
surgery. The ultimate would be jerking yourself off with your own robot hand. Is it better? Who knows?
Who knows? It could save a lot of long distance relationships, though.
Oh, ooh, that's where it comes. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Good call.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
3D print an exact replica of your partner's hand,
yeah,
and then you keep that on your night table.
yeah. And then you text them late at night. You up? Plug
You
into the hand.
yeah. You don't even have
Plug
to
in.
be up. Yeah, they can just even record their hand gestures.
That's
You
good
up,
point.
and then it's just an auto response like, "Oh yeah, I am up," and then
Yeah.
the hand goes to work. Old cousin, what's the hand from
The
Adam's
Adams
Family?
Family thing. Yeah.
Things crawls across.
God, that'd be terrifying.
Terrifyingly erotic.
Hey man, it's a brave new world. A brave new world. Um, but yeah, so there's that. And then I mean with Neuralink could in theory I think do that as well, because you could get those brain impulses. But this is back to this Brazilian guy. This was his thing was he was trying to like decode the information, right? Like so they had to
Mhm.
like put these chips in the monkey brains and sort of let the monkeys do the task for a long time in order to find the signal
Sure.
that's like this is the monkey like because it's all just a crazy amount of electrical noise like so if you like plugged into it and turned it into an auditory sound it would just be electronic hiss it'd just be like white noise just like just crackle so there's a signal in that noise that you have to tease out and that's where I think you use like computing power to like algorithms to like sort out that signal, right? And that's what
Sure.
Neuralink would have to do as well. Is like, so you got all these things, you got the brain, and you're just listening to the brain, go crazy with its electronical signals. Well, what the fuck does that mean? And then translating that into the movement or the desired, task that you want to do. And so it
Sure.
was two days ago. Neuralink did a demonstration where they brought out all these pigs on stage, and the pigs all had the device in their head. And I think
Bunch
that's
of cops.
basically yeah, yeah.
Topical
Elon's a
humor for you. The fatties pigs.
yeah. We've programmed them not to shoot people, or shoot more people, depending on what side of the political spectrum we're on.
Yeah, depending. Where she go?
We'll see who wins the election, but
Yeah.
I think that's all they were able to show, though, is just like, look it's recording brain activity, which isn't really that impressive. They got a long way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. The way, like, if you hear that jerk off talk about it, he's like, 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years. Like, yeah, it's like, man, shut up.
Yeah, he's always saying 5 years. Well, and so this is my problem a little bit with this kind of stuff. With a guy like Elon Musk doing this stuff, he's obviously a smart dude. He's making some big
Debatable.
advances, and can he pronounce Pseudomonas aeruginosa or whatever the hell it was?
Yeah.
But these engineer type guys, they always look at biology as just like an engineering problem. Oh, it's just a software problem. Oh, it's just a hardware problem. We just gotta, ram that shit in there. But it's like there's so many unintended consequences to that kind of stuff. With the brain and the electrical communication, it does kind of make sense that this is just sort of a wiring problem. But when you think about the other things we were talking about with these sensors, the Borg cells or whatever, there's all these molecules and other biological things going on that have effects in the body that you can't just map out. Well, we at least can't just map them out now in a very, sort of algorithmic way or whatever. We just don't understand how
Yeah.
those work, right? So it's just
Yeah,
kind
like,
of like a reductionist view that's a little annoying. It's like,
yeah. I feel like there's also, like, anytime, like, I feel like a lot of doctors or, like, scientists there's a lot of, like, hubris that goes into whatever they're talking about,
mm,
Whereas, whatever fucking 100 years ago, bloodletting was a hot new thing where a guy gave a talk and was like, we've done it. Like, I know how to do this now. We got to drain all your blood, fill you full of new blood. And everyone died because they didn't understand, that you had, like, blood types.
yeah.
Or it was like before that, it was leeches, or even in like modern psychiatry, they're like, so like there's a big breakthrough. We just drill a fucking hole in your head and remove the shit part of your brain. The
Yeah.
front part, that's the part
Yeah.
that's broken. So we just chop out a little fucking chunk of that.
You know, they
like
didn't
that was a
even
really popular thing to have lobotomies done, or whatever
drill a
else.
hole for that, you
Quackery.
know?
It went
For
through your nose, right?
through your eye. They stuck a
Oh, that's
long
right.
needle
Ooh.
through your eye up into your brain and just wiggled it around and just mashed
The
that, and then
scrambler, that's right.
this
Yeah,
brain
what I was
scramble.
saying was a more elegant solution to that.
Yeah,
Like a
but
sewing needle and jam it in your tear duct.
yeah, basically. But this is because your eye is essentially an extension of your brain, right? Like, it's not, the
I'm
nerves
not
that run
equating
straight through.
I'm not equating this to that, but I wouldn't be shocked, like, once we got Neuralink, whatever, 50 years later, like, oh my God, could you believe, like, that was standard practice just to jam the chip in the head and, as you say, twist your speaker wires together?
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah.
fucking apes.
Well, this is, I guess, the other thing the Neuralink team or whatever that they displayed in this demonstration a couple days ago was a robot that's going to do the surgery. So, and it's like this tiny robot that can go in there and, like, yeah, in a basic, like, the article I was reading talked about it, how they said they described it as a basic, like, almost sewing machine like motion, wrap these threads, these Neuralink threads into your brain at the places where a neurosurgeon
Whoa.
like, oh yeah, put him here, this is where we need to go. And they did get approval from the FDA for, like, it's called like a breakthrough device. So they're like accelerating the path to human trials on these things. And it's like they start by saying we're going to use it for clinical reasons, right? Like to help people with paralysis or, you know, epilepsy and shit like that. And that's so then those people basically become like the training grounds for this. But or you can,
You better believe the U.S. military is using this to fucking,
well,
DARPA.
they gotta be the listen to the one I was talking about with the cellular communication thing. They got funding for this work from the Defense Threat Reduction Agency,
That
which that
sounds
sounds,
chill.
yeah, that sounds super chill. And then listen to this one too, the Advanced Mammalian Manufacturing Innovation Center. What?
Advanced mammalian bio.
Manufacturing Innovation Center. I'm just pulling up their
Human Animal
website.
Hybrid Center. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
totally. I just pulled
That's what
up
I
their
got out of
website.
that.
Deliverables. Let's check it out. What are they promising us? Oh, you have to be a member and log in. Boo. All right. Well,
In
that's
order to
something
be
we
a
can
member,
research.
you got to be a Freemason.
Yeah. You got to show your lizard eye in the scan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have to show allegiance to the all unblinking eye.
Yeah. Well, when you go in the retinal scan, you just got to flip over to lizard eye and get that little flicker, and then they
Like,
let you in.
yeah. But once, like, whatever, like, once Neuralink becomes a thing, you get your fucking robot legs. Like, if you don't have the money, you're going to be, poor people are fucked.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Even more
there's
so
going to
than they
be
already are.
Yeah, even more like I feel like the disparity, like the middle class gap will be so big because rich people, you'll just have robot legs and this super brain that just connects with other rich people. And then the poor people just be wallowing down in the fucking mud pits.
Yeah.
You
They'll
know,
just be used for spare
trying
parts.
to use, yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah, you're probably not around.
Whatever we can't, enhance robotically, we'll just, harvest from poor people.
Yeah, the rest of humanity is just a pick your part.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. No, dude. I mean, but it begs the question, though. Would you get because well, think about like things like,
Why not?
well,
Yeah,
Neuralink,
for sure
right,
I would.
or Google
Yes.
Glass or something like this. Like, would you sign
Yeah.
up for the chip?
Yeah.
Yeah, no question.
No question. I'm gonna do it. Why not, man? What else am I gonna do?
What else am I gonna do? But let's say,
Like, what am I hanging on to here, Brad?
yeah.
Let's be honest. Whatever, dude.
Yeah, want to
chip me
become a
out.
pick your part body?
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah,
on board
exactly.
with the chip.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't want to be on the other side of that equation.
Yeah, listen, I want to be on the other side. Yeah.
Right. But so
I
okay,
mean,
so the chip
nothing stays the
thing,
same, Brad. Don't be afraid of change.
yeah, don't be afraid of the chip. Join us.
Yeah,
One of us. One
yeah,
of us.
that's right.
um the Neuralink stuff, like to me that actually seems like it might have more acceptance in society. Cuz it's like if they, especially if they bill it as just like, oh, like how Elon Musk talks about, it's like we're already looking at our phones and stuff all the time. We have these
Mhm.
computers that we carry with us. Why not just integrate that into your brain so you no longer have to carry the device, right? Like it's just straight into your brain. That somehow feels to me like it would be a more seamless transition than being like, hey, cut off your leg and put a robot one on there.
I'm listening. Yeah, wait, yeah,
Don't you think?
yeah.
Like
It's
one
way less
seems less
intrusive. I mean,
yeah,
I would want some sort of fucking kill switch. I like the ability I can just turn my phone off.
yeah,
You know, I like being
yeah,
away from my phone. Like the fact of like never leaving my chip.
yeah.
I'm always.
And if you leave cell service, do you just
Oh my
fall
god,
asleep
yeah.
immediately? Just
Like yeah, like people like
body shut
like
down.
I know you didn't miss my call because your phone's in your fucking brain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh no, I was napping. I was
yeah.
in the but also like but yeah, for sure I think I get it. They're probably at some point will blast just virtual reality into your brain.
Ugh.
And then I'm just gonna hook myself up to a nutrient sack and that's how I'll spend the rest of my days.
Yeah. I think they made a movie about this, starring Jean-Claude Van
Oh,
Damme.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the plot.
Yeah, I think that was what it was. Yeah. I don't know, I
When I
can't
say
remember.
nutrient bag, I mean a poor person whose blood I'm taking.
Right, Mad Max style.
Yeah, Matt,
Yeah.
exactly. Fucking
Blood
yeah,
bag.
blood bag. We were talking about before the Blood Boys.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, I it's weird, man. It's really weird. I mean, on so many levels, it does kind of make sense that it's just like, oh yeah, if you want to have access to your
Yeah.
books or your, communication or things like this, like to just be like, doo doo, and it's right there and you can store it all. Basically, like extra memory for your brain. Like, oh
Ugh.
yeah, I just upgraded my RAM. So now I got like
Yeah.
but yeah, obviously we're not the first ones to think of like all the ramifications of that, but the
You just
idea of
delete
having
all your embarrassing like memories that you think about in the shower or whatever. You're like, yeah, I don't need that. You don't need to think about that anymore.
Whoop.
Yeah, well, that would be
Or
interesting
the
'cause
ultimate like letting go to anger. Like, oh, I'm so fucking mad. It's got go. Yeah, I'm just gonna delete that file. Just gonna fucking delete it. We'll
yeah,
forget about that. Delete the file.
it's like, technologically enhanced mindfulness. You could seriously
Hmm.
just, like,
Dude,
analyze
it's a
and look
shortcut.
at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or but why even have to deal with something when you could just delete it?
Yeah,
You know?
but yeah, fuck, I don't
No
know,
longer
them.
do I have to think about my horrible experience at sleepaway camp.
Then we'd all just be a bunch of bland,
Yeah, and yeah, that's right. No one would have any trauma, and
yeah,
everyone just be so boring.
yeah, we'd all just be like, "Good
We'd all be a
day.
bunch of
Yes, good
yeah.
day to you."
Ugh, imagine a world where everyone is such a bunch of well-adjusted
It's
idiots.
just the Truman Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
All going home to get, jerked off by robot hands.
by robot hands.
It feels like it could go that way, like the idiocracy kind of way, though, too, right? Where it's just
Yeah,
like, everyone's just got too much stimulation all the time.
yeah.
Wouldn't your like nerve
Well, that's
endings just like like you just become, yeah, overstimulated? Maybe the brain can't handle it.
true. I think the brain can handle the input we have right now.
Yeah. Well, I think it could actually, like based on what this Brazilian guy found, like and how the animals just like incorporated a new limb. Like
That is interesting, actually. Yeah.
he made a rat that could sense that had like a heat sensor just in its brain. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's fucking wild.
It's
So
the
it's like
last thing we need.
heat seeking rats.
Yeah, heat-seeking rats. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Rats. I really don't like them.
He put like an infrared sensor in the brain of the
A
rat.
laser.
Yeah, and the rat learned, like I think within like a couple days, it learned how to locate treats based on infrared heat. So it would be in a dark box. There was no light. It was all just infrared. That was the only signal. There'd be hot infrared emanating from where the treat was. And you could watch the rat on video, just like moving its head back and forth, like a shark, but it was just like scanning with the, yeah. And then once it like came across the beam of the infrared, it would just like move toward it and stuff. And so the point being that your brain, again, is very malleable to like integrate these things. And I saw, it kind of seems like bullshit right now, but the idea of making a tail for astronauts when they're in zero gravity floating around, so that they get an extra limb, but they can also like stabilize themselves while doing other things with their arms and legs, so they're not like bashing into stuff as they float around in
Also, for
space.
the listeners at home, my jaw just hit the floor. Sign me up for a fucking tail.
I would take a tail for sure. I think that would be super
Maybe
cool.
2 tails.
Why not? Well, I mean, you could get into Dr. Octopus type territory and just give me all the arms.
Yeah. That's how I want my tail, though. Like, I want my tail to be like a separate processor from the rest of my brain. Like, it does its own thing.
Ooh.
Like, it's always moving around on its own. Like, it helps me when I need it, but it's also just like...
Yeah, it's also kind of got its own prerogative.
Pinching
butts,
like a cat
pinching
tail.
butts on the way by.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like,
sorry,
the tail. Yeah, like a cat's tail doesn't seem to be connected to the body most of the time. It's just like the cat will be still and the tail's like fucking
just doing
whipping around
thing,
like crazy. Yeah, doing its own thing. That's what I want.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But that makes sense on the space station. Yeah, holding on to stuff with your tail.
I found a group that's like building one of these things, but their website kind of sucked. Like it's like they have like a prototype, but it doesn't describe like how it's gonna work or how they're gonna, So it seems like it might be just like one of these startups that's like, hey, we got a cool idea, give us a bunch of money, and then they're really just spending all that money.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that? I mean, I want to get too off topic. What was that? It was kind of like a 23andMe sort thing. And that woman was like one of the biggest biotech companies.
Theranos.
Giant. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was trying to do diagnostics on a chip. So being able to diagnose tons of different conditions from a single drop of blood, rather than like having to do multiple blood tests and do all these different expensive tests that take a long time. She was like, we could do it, just like take a drop of blood, put it on a chip, and this chip would run like 100 or something.
That sounds great.
Sounds great, but it was all bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, total bullshit. That sounds really good. It's like this tail thing. Like, listen, if we could give astronauts tails, like, why are we just building robots that are just like people, have astronauts control them and fucking shoot the robots into space?
Astronauts will just be doing the movement down on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
With these skin grafts that the guy in...
It seems easier than building tails.
Yeah, and like fusing them to your spine or something like that. Like that seems crazy. But yeah, no, 100%. And then the skin thing, making cyborg skin. This is one that I wanted to talk about too, just because I think it's like, we talk about limbs, you talk about your brain and all this stuff, but like
talk about your skins.
Legit robot skin. That's
like Terminator.
Well, no,
not like Terminator. Reverse Terminator. I want meatbag with robot on top.
Yeah.
Not meat robot. I want a reverse Terminator situation.
Like a Kinder Surprise. The fun stuff's on the inside.
That's right.
Yeah.
My organs.
my organs. But so this British guy that did the mesh, so obviously, well, the problem, the challenges with doing skin, because there is people that are looking at it, obviously for prosthetics, so that you can get better feeling, pressure. So you could, so like we said, you're not just crushing people's hands when you shake them and stuff like that. But it's like, it's really difficult because it's got to be super thin so that it can stretch and go around your joints and move and stuff in all the ways that skin does. But then at that thinness and flexibility level, it also has to conduct electricity and signals, right?
Sure.
So there is people that are working on this, and there's a couple interesting advances. There was another one at the American Society for Chemistry meeting, which I know you guys were there, So was
Mhm.
I.
Like a keynote
Um,
speaker.
yeah, keynote. I gave a keynote. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
it was they came up with this coating, this polymer, this organic polymer that you can coat implantable devices with that allows for better transmission of electrical signals from the body to the device. So that's one of the problems, like with Neuralink or all these things when you're mashing electricity, metal things into the body, it doesn't necessarily.
Trying to turn your skin into
Yeah,
like a wireless charger.
you lose some signal and stuff like this. So this would be like a coating that you would put over these like implantable things that help,
Mhm.
the signal
The signal.
pass. And then they could also add like different molecules onto it to give it different functions or something like that. So this would be like this coating thing could be like a first step for the skin thing. And then also just there was guys that were making electronic tattoos. So they took the, tattoo paper when you like the artist draws it on that paper
Mhm.
and then they put it on your skin and it
Yeah.
transfers the ink to your skin just for the outline so that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So they basically took that and drew like circuits, like tiny little circuits, and then put a silver coating that would stick to the ink. So now that circuit that they drew on this paper was silver. So there's now this
Yeah.
electrical or this metal component to it. And then on top of that silver, they could add another, I can't remember, it was like gallium and whatever, some other metal alloy and
Some sort
trace
of
it all
metal
around
conductor
there.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so that it's conductible. And then they were able to like just stick it onto things like a tattoo paper and transfer it. And you would get this circuit made out of this metal alloy, silver and metal alloy, and you could
Embedded
connect
into your skin.
would be just on top of the skin. And so then you could
Yeah.
add a little, microchip or power source and it would
To that.
you could transmit through. So you
Oh,
could get electrical tattoos.
damn.
And then you could
So
light
like
up when you're happy or you know when you're sad, it's like
but could you like transfer information through it?
yeah, well, a current, a signal, yeah, so an electrical signal, yeah.
Yeah, like if you had a brain chip, once again, like talking about prosthesis or something, could you like have like a big long tattoo circuit that went down to your prosthesis, like into the chip that's in that, into the chip that's in your brain, and then you'd
Makes
have like 100% like unbroken like circuit
yeah, makes
with no lag
sense,
time, it'd be like instant
makes sense, but why wouldn't you just, like, put the prosthesis into the body, you know, and use the
yeah,
nerve system that's already
nerve
there?
system, yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you have like nerve damage or something, or
Yeah,
like
could be.
spinal injury, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that, again, this one, they were looking at it, as, like, a sensing thing, right? So you could
Yeah,
sense things from the body and react to it.
interesting. Hmm.
But let's say you had like, this like, and now with advances of like nano materials and stuff like this, they are getting to a level where you can make material that's thin enough and electronic enough to that might be able to replicate skin, right?
Right.
But then if you combine this Borg cell stuff in there, so it's like your skin can actually communicate in all the ways that the body communicates, but you still have this skin. That sounds wild.
Can we make like chameleon skin?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. If it was just
The
like
super soldier who just like can like mimic like a chameleon, like or like whatever, completely change.
yeah. So you could be yeah, you would just blend into like an octopus, just like
Yeah,
blend into whatever's around you for sure. You could do that. Your skin could also be like, like you could be like a walking detector for, you know, chemical weapons or something. You would just be like walking through and like, be like, my skin's picking up, sarin gas, where's Saddam
your
hiding
spidey
the
sense is
weapons?
tingling.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, you can like check it out. I mean, it could be like super tough. If there
Yeah,
was a way
bulletproof.
that like you ran a current through it, which then aligned a bunch of like the current would then snap a bunch of like nanoparticles into a certain configuration. So you could just like make like a shield, like a super tough spot, and then turn the current off and it would,
Yeah,
go away. There's tons of shit. And I'm just thinking, like I said, like for your mood. So when you're, at the super Berlin clubs, raving out.
Right.
Everybody's just like
Yeah.
communicating their
Like those
consent with their
like those
colors.
blinking octopuses. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Then you know, like, which girl not to talk to. She's just like
Yeah.
red. Like, no.
Yeah. I'm just here to,
All the guys
drop down a K-hole and
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah, there's a guy in a fetal position in a K-hole, just purple.
Yeah, just
Weird pulsating purple.
But I wonder though too, like if you replace your skin with robot skin. Let's say you've done
Done.
it. You got peeled, they peeled you and they reseeded you with
Oh, yeah, they filleted me.
yeah.
They
They
made
got a
some
peeler.
Jared jerky. And now they got a cheese grater and a peeler.
Yeah, now they
And
have the Jared skin suit hanging in the
yeah.
closet and you put on your robot skin suit.
Mhm.
I wonder though, like if it could like enhance your feeling, right? So you'd be super sensitive to touch or something, right? Or heat, right? Like you could sense heat or something better with it. You would have, and we're talking about how malleable the brain is. But imagine if your whole sensory organ of your skin like became
My
super
whole
sensitive.
body's a dick. My whole body's a dick tip.
Yeah, yeah, super
Like
sensitive.
I could set it to sensitive.
Yeah, or not.
Yeah. Like I've never been a big Hickey fan. I always thought they were stupid, but maybe
Yeah.
I can just crank up my neck sensitivity.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, you know what? I want 8,000. I want all my sensors to be on my. I could turn my forearm into my erogenous zone and then brush up to people on the subway.
While your tail's like scooting around.
Yeah,
the
my
bag,
tail's
just,
around in the going crazy.
It would. Yeah, I think that it would open up like a another category of deviance. Like how there's already people that are like, oh, I like to sit on balloons and like wait for them to pop, or it's like I like to rub up against carpets because it feels good, and that's how I get like or like tickle me. That's what I like. It's like if you had like
your
super
whole body is in erogenous zone whenever you want.
yeah, there'd people that would just be like standing in a slight breeze that are just like
standing on a windy day.
Yeah. It'd be too much. I think we've now reached the Icarus point of this. We've flown too close to the sun.
Yeah, that's definitely where it's going though. Listen, that's all we're gonna do with this technology.
Yeah. Overstimulate ourselves.
Overstimulate ourselves, exactly.
You could absorb food through your skin, maybe?
Like an is that an osmosis?
Yeah.
I can just sit in a bathtub of creamed corn and finally I won't be like, which I do. Speaking of, being overstimulated, being a weirdo.
I've upgraded from kidney beans to from baked beans to creamed corn. The beans just weren't doing it.
Yeah, my therapist says it's a healthier pulse crop to be bathing.
It's a better crop for the environment, so I've gone totally soybean soaks.
Yeah, eventually she wants to get me to chickpeas. Apparently that's a lot better for my mental state, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, the chickpeas kind of smell. You don't want that.
Dude, chickpeas smell. Oh, lots of fucking chickpeas in my fridge the other day. God damn, you can't turn your back on those things.
Yeah.
It smells so bad for like a few days.
Yeah,
man, I pay good money for chickpea.
They're good. Chickpeas are good. Yeah. Anywho, well, I mean that's all the sort of major cyborg shit that I got.
Cyborg. We should just reconvene in 6 months
and keep updating this.
Yeah.
What about robot blood?
Cyborg update.
Like nano.
You're talking about
like
Bloodshot?
nanobots.
With, Vin Diesel's new movie, Bloodshot, where he's got nanobot blood.
Is that a thing?
It's a real thing.
It's a real movie.
It's a real movie. Maybe we should watch that and then reconvene and just. Yeah, I believe. I mean, I'm surmising this only from the previews. Is that he's got nano blood.
Yeah.
So he can He can do it all, baby.
Interesting.
But he still can't grow hair.
Yeah, or he chooses not to.
He chooses not to grow hair and still have a moderately flabby body.
Maybe he has robot skin on. Can't grow hair.
You can't grow.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you can't grow hair through your robot skin.
Whoa, with robot skin, you could have like whiskers. Little like electrode, little wires sticking out.
Oh, electrode whiskers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, little sensor whiskers just coming out.
Would you want whiskers?
I think so. You have big, long fucking feelers.
Yeah. Yeah, you seem pretty on board with all of it, Jared. Like, just like,
yeah,
hook me up.
Listen, I'm done with my human form.
You want to emerge from the electrical cocoon.
Yeah, I want Jared 2.0. That's right. Yeah. Emerge from my internet chrysalis.
Yeah.
And
all right, boys. Well, yeah. Let's do it again. Let's reconvene when Neuralink.
And then reconvene.
Yeah, we'll see when Neuralink actually has something interesting to offer, or when one of us gets, some sort of a device, be it a pacemaker or a fake eye
or a parole bracelet.
Or a what?
Parole bracelet.
Yeah. That counts, right? That counts.
Yeah.
All right, dudes. Thanks for joining, and we'll catch you next time. Well, there you have it. Fun little chat on cyborgs with my two good friends, Jared and Robby. Many thanks to them for taking time out of their hip West Coast lifestyles, whatever it is that they do over there, eating granola, probably smoking weed, sea kayaking, the usual West Coast things. So I'm happy that they made the time to join the show. As always, follow us, Too Brad For You, Instagram, Twitter. Let us know what you think. Hit up the website, toobradforyou.wordpress.com. You can get in touch with the show there. Also, all the notes. There's plenty of articles that we researched for this one, so links will all be up there. And yeah, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. We're happy to have you all here as audience members, and if you like what we're doing, pass it along. That would be great. Anyway, I think that's it. Until next time, thank you once again for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.